Finding the right steam engine to pull this train would prove fairly easy. In 1958, the Southern Pacific had donated one of its steam engines to the city of Portland, Oregon for display in a public park. The Southern Pacific daylight trains were pulled by engine number 4449 and her sisters in the heyday of fast, streamlined passenger trains. Long since stripped of its bold orange and red daylight colors, the 4449 slowly deteriorated in Oaks Park. By 1974, she was a mere ghost of her former self. But there was hope. A local rail fan named Jack Holst had periodically gone to the park to lubricate the critical components of the engine's running gear. Jack Holst didn't live to see the day that his efforts paid off when the daylight was chosen for the honor of being the motive power of the American Freedom Train. On December 14, 1974, number 4449 was moved from the park into a Burlington Northern roundhouse in Portland, where work began on the huge steamer. Every part had to be taken apart, inspected, cleaned, repaired, and perhaps even replaced. A team composed of a handful of paid staff and dozens of volunteers worked round the clock on the sleeping giant. The huge engine had been placed in service in 1941. By the time she retired, she had over 1 million miles behind her. Most of her career had been spent on the daylight trains between San Francisco and Los Angeles. Later, she worked the Sunset Limited to El Paso. She ended her career with the Southern Pacific by working in commuter service in the Bay Area. All those years and all those miles became apparent as the restoration crew dug into the daylight. This would be no easy task, and the chances of completing it in time for the Freedom Train's April 1st departure seemed slim from the beginning. Well into the restoration, a crack in the crown sheet was discovered. A critical component, the crown sheet would have to be repaired or the daylight would never run again. The daylight savior was Joseph Crumley, a welding expert from Oregon. Using a space-age welding process, Crumley effectively gave the daylight a new lease on life, and despite the close call with disaster, the restoration continued.